So following our recent victories against Athletic Club in our final pre-season match before the Community Shield, all the eyes of Anfield have been fixated on one thing: Alexander Isak. But besides him, it's also the severe lack of depth that we have at centre-back at the moment. That first game against the Spanish outfit showed just how bare bones we are, having to use Andrew Robertson, a left back, and young, inexperienced midfielder Trey Leoni as our two options in the back line to command our defence just to get us over the line. And he can't help but have flashbacks to the 2020-21 season, which saw us go through 20 different centre-back combinations in the Premier League alone, and saw us panic buy Ben Davies from Preston North End and sign Ozan Kabak on loan from Schalke just to get some reinforcements through the door. And I don't know about all of you, but I don't want to go through that again, especially not with a Premier League title to be defended. And while people are saying we should be going for Mark Guehi or Castello Luqueba, myself included by the way, Liverpool are instead being linked with a move for 19-year-old Giovanni Leoni from Parma. And today we're going to go beyond the Kop and discuss why Liverpool are trying to sign the young Italian centre-half. And before we get into that, please make sure to click like and subscribe. It really does help out massively. You're helping me out in ways I cannot explain. So yeah, thank you very much and please enjoy the video. So yeah, Giovanni Leoni, he was not someone I was expecting us to be in the market for this summer, with the estimated price tag of the 19-year-old set at around 40 million euros, and in being someone who doesn't quite have the same level of experience that a Guehi or a Luqueba would have. And while that isn't necessarily a bad thing, I mean, experience isn't everything. Just look at what's going on right now with Rio and Gamoa. It is important that we have someone who can immediately come into this back line and make an impact, with Konate not guaranteed to be here beyond this season, and Van Dijk only having 2 years left on his current deal and being at the age of 34. Leoni has only made 17 Serie A appearances, mainly because the season before last, the Italian outfit were based in the second division, in which he made 12 appearances. So to put that into perspective, that's 29 top-level senior appearances for his team, with him only getting one run out for his former club, Padova, in the third Italian division back in the 2022-23 season. So there's clearly a lack of top-flight experience, and that should be something we're concerned about. We aren't in a position where we can bank on young players reaching their potential a few years down the line. We're going to need ready-made players who can fit into the first team immediately, due to the fact that Konate's contract issue isn't seeming to go away. He's also got a bit of an injury history himself, as well as Joe Gomez, whose injury history pretty much speaks for itself. However, to add to this narrative though that experience isn't everything, Giovanni gained a lot of attention when back in his early days at Padova, he was drafted into the under-16s from the under-13 squad due to an injury crisis at the time, which paved the way for his first team career ahead of him, and he actually thrived in the role, looking light years ahead of where he was meant to be at that point. Now, like I said, top flight experience isn't everything, but it is important in this scenario, especially when it feels like someone this age joining the club now will eventually be trusted with taking over the mantle of Virgil van Dijk when he eventually rides off into the sunset. As I said earlier, he's 34 years old, 2 years left on his contract. We need someone who can come in, yes, immediately change the back four if necessary, but it's also going to have to be someone who can take over the role of Van Dijk when he inevitably does depart in the next few years. So what do we know about the lad? Well, he's an under-19 international for the Italian national side, earning 1 cap for the under-18s and 7 for the under-19s. He's right-footed and has been described as an ambidextrous player, meaning he's comfortable to play on both the right and the left side when it comes to controlling the ball. But he's also comfortable operating in the middle of a back three, as shown by his time at Parma. And this is something that will have a massive impact on the way Liverpool want to play this season, with us seeing the Athletic Club or Bilbao match, however you want to say it, showing that Liverpool look to be utilising Milos Kerkez as an inverted fullback to operate alongside Gravenberch, when the likes of Wirtz and Szoboszlai venture forward, operating in some sort of midfield square, so to speak. As soon as we transition into attack, this means that the left back will move into a sort of midfield three, and we will transition into a back three ourselves, putting us in a 3-3-4 formation, and having someone who's comfortable operating in a back three will be massive for us going forward. It means that when we're in attacking transitions, we will have, ironically, experience playing this formation from an inexperienced player in the back line. And while Konate and Van Dijk are able to play this role as shown at times last season under Slot, it can only be a benefit having someone else in the back line who understands how the system works. So now we have to look at what the stats tell us. And despite the fact that Parma ended the last season in the Serie A in 16th place, conceding 58 goals in the process, Leoni still put out some fairly decent results in his defensive metrics. In Serie A last campaign, Giovanni Leoni ranked in the top 27% 7% of defenders for clearances, recording 4.73 a match, which is mainly down to the style of play that Palmer utilised last campaign, which focused more on forward-thinking direct football by utilising the energy and tenacity from a squad which boasted an average age of just 23.6 years old. They didn't rely too much on possession-based football because of the lack of experience they had, and the ability to do so meant that they were able to just bomb forward with pace and energy. So because of this, the passing quality and statistics of Giovanni Leoni may be slightly lower than what you would expect from a defender being linked with Liverpool, but this really shouldn't take away from the very obvious qualities the lad possesses. So last season, the young lad recorded 1.5 blocks per 90 minutes, which ranks in the top 16% of Italian league defenders. And as you can clearly see from his highlight reel from the 24-25 campaign, he is someone who isn't afraid to get stuck in, not just on the ground, but also in the air, with him recording an aerial win success rate of 63%, winning 1.28 per 90 in the process. This is down to the fact that the 19-year-old comes in at 6'5" tall, and if our pre-season has told us anything about Liverpool, it's that in the air there is a clear weakness which can be exploited both in an attacking and defensive sense, with us looking very vulnerable on corners due to a severe lack of height and physical presence in the box, with only Van Dijk, Konate and Ekitike, who's newly signed by the way, looking like the only real viable options for both defending and scoring from corners. So having someone who isn't afraid to commit to winning both tackles and balls in the air, especially in set-piece situations, is a massive plus for us. Hell, even Joe Gomez isn't as physically imposing in the air as the lads mentioned before, so that's another positive towards Leoni's inclusion in the squad. Former Sampdoria assistant coach Fabio Pescia had this to say about Giovanni Leoni when he was interviewed about him a few years ago. He's a very smart guy. When you have above average intelligence, you can go further, and he can read the opponent's intentions. It's a skill we noticed early on in him. When a defender encounters a fast attacker or a more powerful one, he tries to manage him with simple shoulder thrusts or by anticipating the ball. These are subtleties, tricks that are usually only an experienced player can possess when he's already familiar with the player he's facing, but Leoni already has this knowledge, this level of cunning. He's someone who's ahead of his age in terms of development and progression, someone who's physically imposing, who also possesses the speed and intelligence to be one step ahead of his opposition. He's relaxed and subtle when it comes to his approach to attackers, often allowing him to get the better of them in physical confrontations, which is an eerie premonition of Virgil van Dijk's career. There is a reason he has been dubbed the next Alessandro Bastoni. He's very comfortable on the ball and does not buckle under pressure when in possession-based situations, with him only being dispossessed 0.15 times a match on average and producing 0.45 miscontrols. And while maybe people may look at those metrics and think, it's not great, what they need to consider is both are in the bottom 39% of Serie A defenders for these metrics. And to add to these comparisons to Virgil van Dijk from a few moments ago, one thing that Liverpool fans may like to know is that the young defender idolised the current Reds captain since a young age, with him growing up watching Premier League football and admiring the manner in which the Dutch Colossus conducts himself throughout matches, taking inspiration from his style of play and emulating certain aspects of this. So clearly the idea of learning from the man himself will be very appealing to the young defender, and even more so with the idea that eventually he could be the man to step up once Virgil van Dijk does move on in the next few years. He fits the mould, he fits the ideology, and imagine the honour of being able to take over from the person you dreamed of playing with as a child. English football has shaped this young man's career, and while there is clearly room for improvement, he is only 19 after all. There is also someone who's ready to take the next step in his career, a physical and technically gifted young lad who is capable of remaining calm under pressure while on the ball, and that just seems like the perfect fit for us at the moment. And in the right circumstances and in the right team, there can be few doubts as to how good he will become. Yes, there are some concerns over his play style to some people. Yes, there is a lack of top flight experience, and yeah, there probably are different options we could go for, but in terms of securing the future, in terms of someone who seems to be ready to go right now, who fits the style of play that we're after, who idolises Virgil van Dijk, I think this is a dream scenario. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Should we be going for Giovanni Leoni? What do you think of him? Is there anything that you'd like to add to this? Please make sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.